first, a couple things. One, at what point do you let the patrons know that there is one person in our text chain, which is comprised of me, you, Oz, and Yash, who correctly predicted before the series started, possibly even after game one? I don't even remember when I made the prediction.
You made the prediction before game one.
Did I make it before game one? Okay.
Yes.
Bucks and 6. So just, if you could acknowledge that for everybody, that would be great.
Congratulations, John. And not only were you the only person that said Bucks and 6, you're the only person of us 4 that picked the Bucks.
I picked the Bucks, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I was derided fairly widely by all of you. Well, maybe not you, but definitely Yash.
I said Bucks and 7. Oh, excuse me, Suns and 7.
Suns and 7, yes.
So I gave the Bucks the respect. I just thought it would come down to that the Suns would have home court. But
yeah, to
continue to toot your horn a little bit, what you said was that the Bucks have the best player, and usually the best player wins these series. And oh boy, did that actually be the final difference between these two teams, because Giannis has cemented his legacy in a way that, so you say this a lot to me, and I always brush it off because we're not that far away in age. You always say you might be a little too young for this. But this actually is a case where I wasn't conscious basketball-wise when Hakeem did what he did in 95 or in 94. So is this, I ask you, watching Giannis do what he did this series, is this similar to watching Hakeem, or is it the one that I actually do remember, and it's Shaq in 2000 realized that, oh, nobody can stop me. I'm just going to score at will.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to admit it. I'm a little young. So when so obviously 93, 94, as I've talked about a lot, is my first year really watching basketball. I remember 94, 95 very well. Also, most of my image from that postseason is the Clyde Drexler on the podium. I think a reporter asked him, like, so you still think David Robinson should have got the MVP award? And Clyde just laughed and was like, what do you think? Mm-hmm. That was different for me, at least, because even though I did not watch Hakeem over the first, I guess at that point it was 85. I always get my drafts confused. That was 84 draft. Him and Jordan.
He's the Jordan draft. Yeah. Yes. And then next year was the first lottery with Ewing.
Yeah. So over the course of the first 10 years of his career, don't forget, Hakeem went to a finals 3 years. He went to the 86 finals. Mm-hmm. Got smoked by the Celtics, but he got there. And he was the number one pick in the draft, right? So it's like he was picked over Michael freaking Jordan. So there was there was an air of dominance that was there for several years. I think what 94 was about for the first time the playoffs maybe broke right for Hakeem. And then 95 was a tougher road, but he had Clyde Drexler there to help him. Mm-hmm. So... And I don't, personally, what Giannis just did, I think is, oh man, it's in this, okay, it's not dissimilar. And now I'll say something that I don't know if is going to be controversial. I know the numbers. And I will wax poetic about Giannis in a second before we talk about the Suns and the impact on the Knicks, but there's nothing I've ever seen in sports on par with Shaq. I don't know if I want to go all 3 postseasons, but definitely the second run, because they had to get over that Portland hump, and they were obviously down 15 points in fourth quarter of Game 7, and that was. But seeing Shaq really, especially that next year, was oh, this is the most dominant athlete that I've ever seen do anything. And that's not to say he was better than Michael Jordan, or he was had a better but just Shaq for that period of time, I've never seen anything like that. Giannis, to me, this postseason was not quite to that level, because hey, guess what? We saw Giannis fail in this postseason against Brooklyn. He had a couple moments that were he's not. There's Durant, and then there's the next level down is Giannis, and then obviously he ended up I see a face.
Well, so I guess I'm specifically talking about what he did in the finals, and
that's
where
fair.
the larger sample size to what Shaq did will always lean Shaq.
Yes.
I don't remember Shaq ever going 17 for 19 from the line. And that was always his Achilles heel, is that if you just had, that's where the hack of Shaq came from. He was a liability at the line, but he was so dominant that, and the 0-1 run, how I remembered it, like none of the games were close, and he knocked out the Kings right before they won 62 games. The Duncan Robinson Spurs after Duncan with Robinson still with a lot left on the bone, and
that was a roadkill. They were roadkill in that series to the Lakers.
They went 12-0 in the West playoffs, leading up into the Iverson step over game.
Fell asleep for one game, and then that series was over.
So I look at. I'm with you that Shaq's the most dominant thing I've ever seen on a basketball court. I am with you. Just to transition to Giannis a bit, what he did in this finals, and then he still averaged 30, 12, 30, 13, and 5 for an entire playoffs. And I have some trivia for you. I did a mini producer's corner for this Patreon that's specifically based on Giannis. He's now got 2 MVPs, a Defensive Player of the Year, and a Finals MVP by 26. The only other 2 people to do that are Michael Jordan and Hakeem Olajuwon.
And I also had the stat in the newsletter, which the only players in NBA history, I'll actually pull it up because I forgot what the players were that I listed, who had it over a 3-year period, got 2 MVPs and 1 Finals MVP. And that list is LeBron James, Tim Duncan, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Moses Malone, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I should note that the Finals MVP award was not awarded until the late 60s, so that's why, although Wilt wouldn't have, if they had given the Finals MVP, because the Philly championship that Wilt won, he probably would have been the MVP for that. So you probably could add Wilt's name onto that. In any case, it's a pretty good list.
Yeah, but there's you didn't say Russell, and he's the reason that the award is called.
The award is called
the Bill Russell Award. Yeah.
But in terms of what this reminds me of, to me, there's two types of NBA Pantheon level players. There are the players who have it from day one. Your Jordans, your Shaqs. Well, I guess really just Jordan and Shaq. Maybe Luka. I might go so far as Luka. And it's about figuring out. I know that's going to be that'll get me some shit.
Why isn't LeBron on that list?
Well, I'm going to get to the second group in a second.
Okay.
And that first group, it's about they have the ability. Jordan came into the league, he could score 50 any night, and you could put Kobe in this group. Put Kobe in that group.
Okay.
And it's about them figuring out how to change their game to make it such that the dominance translates to winning. And for Shaq, I think that may have just been about committing to just giving a shit. Because listen, if he was born with Michael Jordan's mentality, he would have been the greatest athlete of all time. We don't need to.
Yeah.
For Giannis, it reminds me actually more of LeBron because the gifts were there. The gifts were there, but it was, I think, figuring out how to use them to his advantage to the most. And in my mind, there's a little difference between those two categories. I don't know if I made it clear enough, but that's what this was watching this for me, where it reminded me of LeBron at different stages of his career. You could point to LeBron in the Pistons series back in 2007. You could point to LeBron several years later when he kind of got it against Boston and en route to the Heat's first title with him there. And I saw Giannis put the pieces together, how to make it work for him individually in these playoffs.
Yeah, I think I don't disagree with anything you said. The only thing I guess I would add on to really elevate what Giannis did in this finals is, I guess I've only ever seen it click for a player a couple times in my NBA watching life, where it's Shaq and the time we're talking about, it's LeBron, but I actually go even earlier. I get how we created this whole narrative that he's a choker and isn't that great because of one game against the Celtics and then 3 games against the Mavericks. Yeah. But against the Pistons in 2007, he scored 48 points and his team's last 30.
Insanity.
Eliminating a team that we forget with those Pistons made 6 consecutive conference finals. So like I saw it click for him, like, oh, no one can stop me. And that's the level of dominance that I saw with Giannis, while admitting that like Middleton had to have a good game. Holiday had to have one good game. It didn't even have to have a good series. It had to be good once. And that's what they got from him in game 5. And you get a random 12 Portis points here and a random a couple threes from from Connaughton, and Brook Lopez is going to Disney World. All this to say, so can I do this producer's corner with you real quick? Because
sure,
I'd like to. I did some research today because a lot of takes about Giannis are flying around the good old bird, twitter.com today. And I want to see if you can guess some of the names he now has put himself in the same context of.
Oh, I'll try.
So
I don't embarrass myself. This is going to be
40 points at least 3 times in an NBA Finals. Giannis is now one of 6 people to do this. He's scored
40 points. Sorry,
at least 3 times.
At least 3 times in the same NBA Finals?
Yes.
And he's one of 6 to do it.
One of 6 to do it.
Okay. Is Jerry West one of them?
Jerry West did it in 1969.
Okay. And that was the only losing Finals player ever to win MVP award.
Correct. He's the only one on this list to do it in a losing effort, too. Yes.
Okay.
One of 2. The other one should be obvious when you think of how this decade has gone.
My other guess would be LeBron.
LeBron in 2015 had 40 in 3 different games and lost to the Warriors.
Okay.
Because his second best player was Matthew Dellavedova.
I am going to take a guess, even though I admittedly cannot remember which series it was, although I would guess it would be the Phoenix series. Did Jordan do it?
93.
Oh, I was right. Okay.
Averaged 41 for the series.
That was the Phoenix series.
He actually is the only one to do it 4 times in a finals. So
okay. So Giannis is one of 6. So Giannis is another
2
one.
More.
So that means there's 2 more. Well, I've named the obvious ones.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a sec here.
Yeah.
I don't think Shaq ever did it.
He did 2000.
He did it. What did he? That was that the series he averaged 38 in the finals?
He averaged 38 and like 16 for the finals, yeah.
If you average 38, you probably got 43 times.
And the other one's an oldie. So
the other one's an oldie.
Yeah.
On a winning team.
Yes.
Don't give me a year. I mean, the obvious answer is Wilt, but it's probably not Wilt.
It's not. Which I was honestly shocked at.
How old are we talking?
1967.
Oh, Elgin Baylor?
Rick Barry.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So Giannis, again, it's not like 40 points your whole career in a finals.
That's not hard. I should have
40
remembered
points
Barry.
3 times in the finals.
Yeah, that's good.
This stat has been flying around, so you probably already know it, but 50 points.
I have not been on Twitter today.
Well, just in general, 50 points in a finals game. It's only been done 7 times. And Giannis is the only one to do it with 5 blocks and only one to do it with at least 70% true shooting. He's at 74% for 74 true shooting last night. So can you name the 7 players to score 50 in a finals game?
No. Well, LeBron did it in game 1.
The only losing effort.
That was the only losing effort? Really?
Yeah. Everybody else, 6-1.
Jordan
did it 55 against the Suns in 93.
Okay. Are there any other recent ones?
No, the rest are pre-1960s. Well, pre-1970s. So 1962, someone did it. It's the most ever. Do you know who that might be?
Is that Elgin Baylor?
That's Elgin Baylor. 61 in the 1962 finals.
How the fuck did he not average 40 a game in the finals when we got 62 points? Come on.
I didn't say averaged 40 a game. I was saying scored.
Sorry, get 40, above 43 times.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got Baylor, James, and Giannis is one of 7, so there's 3 more. Wilt
did not.
Wilt never scored 50 in a finals game?
Never scored 50 in a finals game, yeah.
Too many matchups. Well, he hasn't. It also didn't go to that many finals because Russell kept him out of there. Old ones. Man.
So the one you forgot or didn't know the last round, Rick Barry scored 55 in 1967 in one of the games.
Okay.
And then
can I?
Go ahead. There's 2 more.
Did someone Did Bob Pettit or something do it?
Bob Pettit in a closeout game, which is the other stat that here, he scored 50 in a closeout game. The only other player with Giannis to score 50 in a closeout game, and Pettit did it to Russell's Celtics. Now, Bill Russell came off the bench and scored 8 points in that game, so it's not really Russell's Celtics, but yeah, he has that on his resume. And the other one is a guy we've already said. What, the NBA logo?
Oh, when did West do it?
West did it in the 69 finals. He scored 53 points in one of the games.
Oh, okay. Well, that, again, makes sense. Okay.
So the last one is how I'm going to make it that this run by Giannis is more impressive than just the finals. Players to average at least 30.2 points a game, 12.8 rebounds a game for a full playoffs, minimum 10 games. I think
I was listening to the Windy and Low earlier today, and I think they said this stat. Although I don't, if they did say the names, I don't remember them. That's a Scout's honor. How many players did it?
There's 6 players that did it for an entire playoffs and the minimum 10 games. Because Carmelo, 30 points. So it's 30. It's basically 30-13 for an entire playoffs.
30 and 13 for. Did Jokic do it this year?
No. And again, minimum 10 games. Well, Jokic played 10 this year, but he didn't do it.
Okay. Shaq?
Although, now I'm going to double check. Shaq did it twice in 2000 and 2001.
Again, I have to think Wilt is somewhere on this list.
Wilt did it 4 times.
Did it 4 times.
Okay, so twice. He did it 4 times. Only twice was minimum 10 games, but Wilt did do this.
Okay, so Wilt, Shaq, Giannis, and there's 6 total, so I'm missing 3?
Yes. No, so there's 6 and then Giannis.
Oh, so 6 and then Giannis, so I need 4 more. Moses? No, Moses never had that many points.
Right. Jokic just missed. He averaged 29 and 11.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, 29.8 and 11.6. So if you round up, and I'm literally going 30.2 and 12.8.
Kareem.
Yes, 3 times. He did it in 70, 74, and 77. So the other 3,
Hold on.
I'm just saying 2 you've already said. Like, you've said their names throughout this convo so far. And 1, surprisingly, we haven't said yet because I just didn't have a moment yet.
When did Oscar ever do it?
Oscar did it in 63. So that's one of them.
Okay. You gave me that hint. The other 2 we already said. LeBron?
LeBron's never... Not 13. Think about that.
Not 13. That makes sense. I don't know. Give me the other 2.
Elgin Baylor did it 4 times. In 60, 61, 62, 63.
You forget how many rebounds he got from and he was a true small. I mean, he was the original small forward in the NBA.
And then Bob Pettit in 63.
Oh, Pettit. Okay.
Yeah.
Pettit was, listen, kids, if any of you young whippersnappers out there are listening, you're like, who the fuck is Bob Pettit? Go look up Bob Pettit and his stats and his accomplishments. Arguably, still to this day, one of the 20 greatest players to ever live.
All this to say, Giannis did it in the second most amount of games. Shaq did it in 23 games for an entire playoffs, averaged that level. But Giannis is the only one to do it through 22 games, just 21 games, and did it averaging 5.1 assists per game as well.
And he's 26 years old.
There's still can now run the league for a couple years.
Well, so that